Hello and welcome. This is NTA Tuesday Live and I'm Cyril Stober. Now, the demand for local medicinal plant development is increasing in both the developing and developed countries. Going by the World Health Organization, almost 80% of the population of developing countries rely on traditional medicines, mostly plant drugs, for their primary healthcare needs. Analysts say the clamor for local medicinal plants is due to factors that include its affordability and accessibility to the rural populace, as well as claims of non-side effects. Now, countries like China and India are known for the conservation and development of medicinal plants, exporting herbal material and medicines to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, with concerns over high cost of drugs, especially in Nigeria, there are arguments that medicinal plant development can lead the way, particularly in achieving quality and affordable health care and meeting the Sustainable Development Goals. What's in place to ensure appropriate technologies for the industrial production of traditional medicines, such that the effectiveness of the preparation is standardized? Whatever went wrong with the Nigerian Medicinal Plants Development Company? These are some of the questions we'll be raising tonight on NTA Tuesday Live. But first, let's get to see this report by Murjanatu Adam Said.
The use of herbs, stem, in the treatment and management of diseases is a practice that is as old as man. Findings, however, show that in spite of the abundant medicinal plant resources in the country, only 25% of Nigeria's 8,000 medicinal plants are being utilized. Investigation reveals that 6 plants which had more value than what they were currently being used for have also been identified lately. They are Moringa oleifera, popularly called zogale, hibiscus, known as zobo, ginger, bitter leaf, bitter kola, and pumpkin. Experts say these medicinal plants are viable and available all year round in Nigeria.
As you know, there's several evidences that said 90%, some said 80, but 90% of the African population uses traditional medicine. And Nigeria is not left out in that percentage. And they said it used to be alternative medicine for even the less privileged. But I can currently tell you that it's not an alternative medicine for the less privileged. Even the elite, the wealthy personnel of the society also currently use traditional medicine.
In view of Nigeria's disease burden and poor health indices, there has been the need for emphasis on enhancement of research, development, and commercialization of natural medicinal products in Nigeria, as well as standardization to enable Nigerians get the maximum benefit in health care using the herbal plants. In Abuja, Murjanatu Adam Said, NTA News.
That report sets the tone for tonight's discussion. Let's introduce our guest to you. We'd like to welcome to this program Professor Martin Zemeje, who's head pharmaceutical technology and raw materials development of the National Institute for Pharmaceutical Research and Development, NIPRID. Thanks for being with us here tonight.
Thanks.
Also joining us here tonight is Elizabeth Odili, Technical Advisor, Pharmacist on Cultivation and Processing of Medicinal Plants for the Association of Lady Pharmacists of Nigeria. Thanks for being here.
Good evening, viewers.
Right. And we are also joined tonight by Zainab Sharif, who is former Chief Executive Officer, CEO of the Nigerian Medicinal Plants Development Company. She is a well-known authority on green pharmacy and plant experts, and also Merit Award winner of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria. She's known on television as well for quite a while. Thanks for being here. It's been a while.
Good evening, Sil. I'm always at home.
Right. Okay. All right. And also joining us tonight from our Lagos Network Center is Olumide Akintayo, who is a former president of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Thanks, Cyril, and good evening, viewers.
Right. All right. And so let's acquaint you with the procedures we always do on this program. At the appropriate time, you can get to be part of the discussion in the studio. You can join in the discussion. The various platforms will be on your screen. So we advise you take advantage of those platforms to be part of this discussion. However, for those who would be phoning in, we say this every Tuesday. Do us a favor, when your call gets through to the studio, turn down the volume of your TV set. Just reduce the volume. That way we'll avoid the hurlback or the echo. And the best way to know that your call has been passed through to the studio, your name will appear on screen. Once you see your name on the screen, it means your call is through, and you can just go straight ahead with your question or comment. Keep it short, straight to the point, and don't worry too much about the greetings. And so other people can get on the platform. Now, whatever issues you raise, I guess we'll be willing to address them. So once again, welcome to Tuesday Live. It's straightforward what we're talking about tonight. The challenge of affordable drugs, which has given rise to the setting up of the Nigerian Medicinal Plant Development under the Federal Ministry of Health. Now, there's various aspects of this we'll be talking about. But first, let's even find out whatever happened to that company. Let's turn to you, because you were CEO of that company.
Yes, Nigerian Medicinal Plant is under the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. I was there as the chief executive to promote the cultivation of Nigerian medicinal plants. The initial mandate was to see how we can domesticate the malaria plant called Artemisia annua in Nigeria. That was an attempt to make malaria medicine affordable. And the purpose of domestication is to see that Artemisia annua, is it viable in Nigeria? The content of Artemisia annua, known as artemisinin, what is it commercially viable? And then we did trials, 2008 to 2010. We did 2 trials in all the zones. It's glad to inform Nigerians that when the result came out, not only were we above the commercial, not only were we commercially viable, we were even more than the expected limit. The commercial viability of Artemisia annua was to be 0.4% of artemisinin. But we're having 1.62% in states like Taraba. So that was a success story. But the next stage was the extraction. And for you to do extraction, you needed technology. And the only technology you can get then was from the Chinese. That was why it was supposed to be PPP, so that Chinese can come. But typical as it is, when it was time, the Chinese cleverly went and decided not to be part of the program, because it was said that our president needed to get a clearance from the Chinese president before we can go the next step. And that was a challenge, really. Okay. And then again, political instability and understanding the importance of the project. And you know, this would have been the first ever source raw material in Nigeria that would have been locally produced. And we would have been able to provide that raw material for pharmaceutical companies. Not only that, we could have marketed that raw material to West African countries and Africa. But there are challenges, bureaucratic procedures, not understanding of the project, political challenges, so many challenges went in. But however, not to kill the project, we widened the scope and gave it the name Nigerian Medicinal Plants, because I thought out of the 8,000 species of medicinal plants we have in Nigeria, it is time that we can also bring in our own. Just like when the hen is drinking water, the lizard is waiting by the side to drink that water. So the project was artemisinin, and now while we are waiting to get the right response, let us widen the scope. That brought us to the identification of 6 medicinal plants in the different zones of this country for commercial biofuel. That is the success story of Moringa you see today.
Right. But
just
then,
an example.
But then the company had to go.
So we need to, maybe we need to look at the Ministry of Agri and find out how far we can go.
Yeah, the partners then realized that you were going to be viable competitors.
Sure. Okay. That was one of the challenges.
Anyhow, we'll return to that later on. But Prof, let's come to you now and talk about this question of raw materials development. And, you know, you were head of pharmaceutical technology at NIPRID. And what has been the process over the years of identifying medicinal plants, things that we can, as a country, begin to deploy towards the manufacture of drugs locally?
Thank you very much. I'm usually quick to tell people that when it comes to identifying medicinal plants or indigenous raw materials that we are supposed to harness, that we are supposed to undertake research and development upon, we do not have problems. Yes, I think our problem is not that of identification or the skill or professional prowess to do what we are supposed to do scientifically, but the political will and the attitude of the people that make up the country that we call Nigeria, and how it affects this. Maybe we'll expatiate as we go on. So I like to summarize it that way, that our problem is not with science and technology of raw materials development, but with who we are, the kind of people that we are, the nature of our DNA and our attitude to our own things.
Yes. Yeah. So we continue to languish when we have access to
Everything.
plenty, everything. Well, let's hear your opening comments, Elizabeth Odili, pharmacists and cultivation and processing of medicinal plants.
Yeah, we had this leader way back in 1991, Mrs. Mercy Olorunshola, who had a vision to see Nigeria do her own thing by producing food, medicines, cosmetics, raw materials from medicinal plants that are locally sourced. And she took us to the extent of meeting with the then wife of the president, Mrs. Miriam Babangida, who did give us a land for cultivation of our herbarium in Abuja here. But over time, we lost that land. But be that as it may, when I became the national chairman of Association of Lady Pharmacists way back in 2001, I resuscitated the Project 91, as it was called. And in the 6 geopolitical zones, we had assigned products that would normally grow in that area, in those areas. And our lady pharmacists have been trying to cultivate such plants. Specifically in the northwest, we had Moringa oleifera. In the northeast, we had Zobo. That's
Hibiscus sabdarifa.
Hibiscus sabdarifa. In the north central, we had ginger, Zingiber officinalis. In the southwest, we had Ephiri, that is Basil, Ossimum basilicum. And in the southeast, we had the cassava plant, is Bombax, the Bombax species. And in the south-south, we had bitter leaf. So the only place, the success story we have presently is in the south-south. The Omu of Obanam graciously donated a plot of land, a big expanse of land to the Delta branch of the Association of Lady Pharmacists. And there we are into cultivation of the bitter leaf and other plants that would normally grow there.
Okay.
So,
right. Okay. Well, let's go over to our Lagos Center, where we have a former president of Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, Olumide Akintayo. It's not in doubt. It's said over and over again, there's huge potential in this country. There's a lot that can be done. But despite all these and the availability of numerous plans that could be harnessed for what would be beneficial to the health sector, Nigeria still largely depends on importation of drugs, mostly from Asia. Why is the situation like this?
Well, thank you very much, Cyril.
I think I want to take it from a global perspective, first and foremost. Now, the world pharmaceutical market today is valued in the region of about $1 trillion, $1 trillion. Today, the pharmaceutical market, the entire pharmaceutical market in Nigeria is certainly lesser than about $2 billion, and it's certainly lesser than $2 billion. So if you look at it and we take it at an average of about $1.5 billion, it means that arithmetically, the Nigerian pharmaceutical market as a component of the entire global market is just about 0.0015%. Today, the pharmaceutical sector contributes just about 0.25% to gross national product, GDP. Now, when you compare that with other nations earlier referred to like China, India, where GDP hovers between 2 and 3%, you begin to see very clearly that the pharmaceutical market in Nigeria is still relatively very small. Now, in terms of economy of scale, therefore, you will naturally have a paucity of investors. You will have a paucity of investors because people perceive that this market is still too small. Yes, oftentimes we mount it, oh, we're the biggest market, 170, 180 million people. But in terms of real investments, the pharmaceutical sector is still very small. Unfortunately for us, it's going to be difficult to harness the potentials, the way we continue to run our affairs in this part of the world. Nigeria is today a signatory to what is popularly called the Abuja Declaration, where its governments in the African region are supposed to be committed to dedicating at least 15% of national budgets to the health sector. You are aware that what we have currently is just about 3.6%. In fact, since we had the Abuja Declaration in 2001, the highest we've ever got into is just about 5.5% of national budgets. So in simple terms, a lot of things continue to suffer. One of the panelists, Martin Zemeji, one of the most brilliant professors of his generation probably, might not be able to say all of this. The huge talents, the experts at NIPRID are probably wasting away. You can imagine if you have a national budget of less than 3.6%, what is dedicated to R&D, research and development? Something very, very insignificant. Look at the exploits of Ajia Sharif, the zeal, the passion to make the Nigerian Medicine Company work, all of that went with the wind. Because you cannot, there's no magic about these things. These things have to be funded properly before we can begin to achieve results. One of the landmark projects of NIPRID is the popular anticycline agent, Fagara. NIPRID, I mean, that research started from a drug research and production unit at the whole University of Ife, now AUG. Along the line, NIPRID rescued that laudable spirit of the mover and promoter of that project, late Professor Abayo Omishofowora. Today, NIPRID has a patent. Government has not been supportive, yet millions of Nigerians are perishing, suffering from that clinical disease states restricted only to poor black people. Not poor black, but black people. It's only black people who suffer from sickle cell anemia. It's been impossible to commercialize Nepersan, a fantastic product that would have helped millions of sickle cell patients in Nigeria and probably beyond. So, fundamentally, you will continue to encounter distortions in ambition to begin to commercialize these natural products. Of course, that's the future. If you're going to grow the real sector, which the pharmaceutical sector is certainly an integral part of, we must engender through manufacturing endeavors, serious manufacturing endeavors. We must exploit the potentials with natural products and all of that. There is also, of course, the dimension of herbal medicine practitioners. Are these guys ready to subject their various preparations to scientific evaluation? Because, you know, science, the science is especially, in fact, all of the sciences, it's not about myths. It's not about myths, it's about reality. You have to prove, it's not just saying, oh, this thing cures malaria. I must be able to tell you these are the active ingredients so that in terms of pharmaceutical formulation into dosage regimens, you must be able to convey facts. And so we still have a long way to go. But the bottom line is we need to do a lot more than we're doing about funding these endeavors so that they can become fruitful and productive in the larger interest of consumers of health in Nigeria.
Thank you so much. You've raised so many issues, but back here in Abuja, Prof, it might be difficult to even decide where to start from, what premise. But let me go to another angle of it before we come back to the way we are, as you put it. Perhaps one of the biggest challenges of local medicinal plants production and harnessing them for health purposes is what might be termed a lack of trust. In his last few comments, you heard the former president of the Pharmaceutical Society allude a little bit to it, where science is concerned, and the feeling that when it comes to medicinal plants and herbs, your first thought will go to herbalists, and next thing is mysticism. Where is science? Where is mysticism? And you know, such practices which are not subject to empirical, you know, evaluation. Is that the main thing, or is it that we cannot overcome those challenges as to integrate these herbs?
Thank you very much. I don't think we should even be talking of integration yet, because before we get to integration, there's a gamut of things we are supposed to do. And first there has to be acceptability. And for now, the acceptability is not there. And I am not of the school of thought that, and I know this for sure, that the issue of mystery or spiritism that is associated with traditional medicine, we are in 2017. So we are in 2017 now. So that's not the issue. Okay, yeah, because as we are talking now, we have at least 13 schools of pharmacy in Nigeria. At least. We have the National Institute for Pharmaceutical Research and Development. We have Nigerian Institute of Medical Research, and we have so many research institutes. And I can tell you that almost 100% of these institutions, research institutions or universities, work daily on herbal products. So the era of mystery or spirit is gone. So nobody should tell us now in this 2017 that the reason we don't like herbal products is because there is spirit. Which spirit? When I was born, look, I'm from a village called Agaliga. In that my village, there's no road, there's no electricity, there's no water, there's no nothing. And that village has produced medical doctors, pharmacists, everybody, different kinds of professionals. And we all drank the unscientific traditional preparations. Now we have been trained with taxpayers' money. We are now knowledgeable. We have the skill to use science and technology to convert those things we used, and we are fortunate to have survived, so that the new generation of people will use what the new world is using. And we are talking of the things that people talked about before I was born. We are not serious. It's not about spirit. Now, look at our budget in the last 5 years and tell me what was allocated to research and development. Research and development is not an agenda in this country. It is not. I can tell you that confidently. It is not an agenda. When it becomes an agenda, we will go to where we are supposed to go. So, it's not spiritual. It is those of us who are responsible for putting research and development on the front burner as an agenda and decide deliberately that, look, we have to develop our own things. We have to produce our own things and use our own things. We have not decided that yet. And see, my brother, let me tell you, as I'm talking to you today, there are a lot of, academics, professors in this country who are ready to sit down free of charge. It's our country. Those of us that are here, we are here because it's our country. It's not because we can't vamuso, we can't take off. But we are here because we have pride and we want to develop our country. So they will sit down and develop pharmaceutical roadmap for the development of pharmaceutical sector in Nigeria.
You know, this might sound inexplicable to so many people. If you do have this, the question will be, why would you know that you have a better way to achieve greater results and still not invest in that? Why would this be? What's the problem?
Cyril, let me come in categorically for the purpose of our viewers to clearly understand. There's a need to define medicinal plants along the pathway of drug discovery, like he has said. And there's a need to inform people that 40% of our synthetic drugs that we use currently are from medicinal plants. And there is the need for us to understand that along the pathway of discovery, let's say from any plant, you want to get a drug, we need to understand when does it become a drug and when can we use medicinal plant. Like he has said, and you have known me, I've been an advocate of this for close to 20 years. If we don't understand and believe in our own, we are not going to go nowhere. What did the Chinese do? The Chinese knew that they had over 40 recorded, documented medicinal plants in what they call their materia medica. They begin to use it as a first step. They packaged it first. If you are going to take medicinal plants, I always say, let's look at the value chain. I have gotten the plant. I have identified the plant like he has said. The Chinese said, we do not ignore the barefoot doctors because they are the basis of our information. Who are the barefoot doctors? The traditional medicine practitioners. For goodness sake, God gave them that knowledge. They did not acquire it. God gave them the instinct to understand this is a plant. So if they tell you that this plant is for malaria, that is the basis of our science. All he needs to do as a researcher, the barefoot doctor has told me this plant. So along the line, we can make our medicinal plants to what we called herbal products. Herbal products are a combination of one or more plant materials. And those plant materials can be leaves, the roots, the leaves, the seeds, combined in a combination to produce what we call herbal product. And those products can yield medicinal effects. So that means we have one stage. Our people can begin to take it as herbal product. Then you go along the line. You can put it in the different forms. They put them in tinctures, they put them in pills, they put them in capsules. These are, for goodness sake, what you see at nutritional products in the market, food supplements in the market, because the research is less. The scientific evidence has already been proven. Who are you to tell me that what my grandfather took 200 years ago as food is not right? Then, if you want, for the purpose of going a stage further, you want to go to drug discovery. This is what I want people clearly to understand. When you talk of drug discovery or pharmaceutical drug, you are talking differently. The process from medicinal plant has changed. Chemical product has been evolved to give you what we call drug. And for goodness sake, the discovery of drug to be brought into the market will take you about minimum now 12 years. At least he will confirm that. And you need to spend about $58 million. Is that visible? So what do we do as a people? What do we need to do as a people? Start from the way the Chinese started. Herbal products, NAFDAC is there to list your products. We have these 8,000 species in this thing. There are so many products in the market. You take them, start as Abaru. You continue the research. NAPRID will identify. You'll be able to discover that you can go. And not only that, medicinal plants are used as medicine and they are used as foods. What do we mean by foods? Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, said, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. So you have started. Your medicinal plants are the food products you see, but it now depends on how you believe in your products and eat your foods. We have so many nutritious foods. Are you talking of the plantain? When the plantain is ripe, it becomes starch, so you are taking more of carbohydrate. When the plantain is green, it is protein, and this protein are nutrients that the body needs to heal. So we should not be too technical and say drugs. We are going to drug discovery, but we need to support the research. You now need to tell me bitter leaf, which we all know, for goodness sake, it is used as a supportive therapy in the management of diabetes. How will I take bitter leaf to give me that effect? I tell people that when you wash the bitter leaf, you put it in the soup, you have taken it as food. When you now take the juice of the bitter leaf, or you carry out the process into a herbal product, you put them as tea, or you put them as capsules, you put them as pills, then you are talking of the therapeutic effect. So we can start. Do not say we cannot start. We can start. All we need is the political will and to believe in our own, like he has said. Even in the crudest form, let us do it. You did not die. I feel sad. Common malaria. You need the plants from China, Artemisia annua, to tell you to come and cure my malaria in Nigeria. My goodness sake, the grandmother's remedy. Your parents go out, pluck the pawpaw, pluck the leaves. Why do they do that? That is what we are supposed to find out. I have the answer. That process, even when you take anti-malaria drugs today, you find that people will say, I did not have the... There is a process called diphtherism. What is that process? The steam inhalation. When my children are sick with malaria, I give them the drugs and I give them diphtherism. Cook the pawpaw, cook the leaves. The leaves are there. The trees are there. The mango leaves is waiting for you. The pawpaw leaves is waiting for you. So many leaves are there. Did God put them there for you just to look at them? These are God remedial for his inflicted humanity. It is time we must look and start. And while we are starting and using, we can continue our research.
All right. Let me still go back to another issue. I mean, the controversies that may arise from here. And I'm putting that to you, Cross. We will put the same question to Lumide Akintayo in our Lagos Center, but let's put it to you first of all. How do you respond to the issue of dosage? Now you've heard that, yes, you can begin to take these herbs, herbal medicines, as part of your food. But again, there's a the segment that worries about inward dosage. Yes.
Yeah.
Is that a challenge as well?
I want to compare it with the art of cooking.
Yes, correct.
When you are cooking soup, you don't, you by intuition, by practice, you know the quantity of egusi that you are going to use. Right. You know the quantity of water, you know the quantity of pepper, you know the quantity of salt. So also these people that have been practicing these things have over time developed the art. They know the quantities that they will use for each amount of medication that they want to prepare. So it's an art that comes by intuition, by natural intuition, and of course by practice. And you see, most of these herbal medicines have been used over a long time. They've seen that the side effects are not as bad as you would get if you are using synthetic drugs, because the materials in the whole plant complement each other. They work in synergy, and there are things that God has put in his own knowledge to counter side effects that you will normally see in the extracts that have been used as synthetic medicines.
Okay. All right, let's put the same question to Lumide Akintayo and just extend it further and say, yes, if you take a synthetic drug, for instance, you could say, well, this is what it's made of. These are the components. This is the level of, well, this is what is in it, what is toxic, or the level of toxicity. Can you do that? Is that one of the problems? Is that one of the challenges? Can you say that of some of these plants which you develop into medicines? Do you worry about that and say, well, I don't know what is, because you're talking of a combination of things now, and sometimes they are not recorded. What's the issue here?
Well, I guess those were some of the things I was talking about when I made references to scientific evaluation. You must get to some level of sophistry. And I think we need to begin to face more realities here. Now, how many clients, how many patients will readily take a glass cup of bitter leaf extracts? If they manage to finish a glass, how many of them, are you sure you will ever get 50% of them to come back to take the same product again? I am not sure you get 50%. The reality, one of the major reasons why in the synthesis or manufacturing of orthodox medicines, that you flavor them and you do all sorts, it's to make them acceptable in terms of the taste and all of that. And then, of course, you talked about dosage regimens. Yeah, the sciences also require some level of accuracy. Even if I mean, these references to what we did when we were in the village, they're very good. But like I once had somebody say, the fact that we had a departure from the Stone Age does not mean stones were exhausted in our various communities. There is something that the rest of the world is doing. Now, if you continue to say you are part of that global village, then we need to do things that are in tandem, probably. Yes, we might not achieve the sophistry at once, but it must be very close to it. There is really no way you're going to have pharmaceutical formulations without getting into some level of research and development. And I'm glad that it is Cyril who talked about dosage and all that. Dosage regimens are very, very key to attaining bioavailability and success rates in any form of therapy. You need these things. You can't run away from it. You can't. A man will not come today. I mean, I made references to Niprosan. It was discovered as raw chewing stick. How many people, if you left that active ingredient at the level of chewing sticks, how many people will chew Fagara today in the raw form? So I think I want to get real here, because I'm looking at our generation, those of us who are panelists here, is gradually moving away. You have a new generation of people who will not embrace some of the things we are canvassing in terms of medicinal plants and all that, because they are not pleasantly flavored, they won't taste well, it will be loaded with inaccuracies. Even the so-called nutraceuticals, if you look at all the labels, the FDA, for instance, that's the major regulator in America and some of the other places, will tell you that, yes, we are not in position to validate some of the claims which are being ascribed to this product. Please try to understand that I'm not trying to run down natural medicinal products. I'm only saying that in embracing it, it must also come with some level of decorum. I'm aware that some of the traditional preparations that have been approved or given NAFDAC number by NAFDAC in Nigeria, NAFDAC would also tell you very clearly that some of those claims cannot be validated. So it's better we do them properly. I want to go by what Pharmacist Sheriff said. I would rather have an extract that, because our old folks gave the impression this is good for diabetes, Martins and his people We'll take it into the laboratory at NIPRIT. They will be able to identify the exact active ingredients. We conduct what we call in pharmacy proper pharmacokinetic studies, identified all the salient parameters like half-life. You need to determine the half-life, for instance, before you can determine the dose.
Have all been engaged since we started this discussion. And let's try and bring in some of the calls. We have, still in Lagos, we have Wale who's calling in. Hello, Wale. Hello, Wale, are you with us?
Please do that so that we don't go too pharmaceutical. Yes.
All right.
Yeah. I'm very happy to be part of this program. Hello? I'm very happy to be part of it.
Yes, go right ahead.
Yes, I'm sorry. And I see it's high time to start looking inward because there must be a change in the pharmaceutical sector. We can't see to do it in our own way, in the Nigerian way. You see, hello? Hello?
Yes, go right ahead, Wale.
Yes, we need to do proper research and make sure that we make use of our own products, our herbal products in Nigeria. It's down as a way of hearing what to do. So if it can go longer, we believe in humanity. That's how it is. Hello?
Sorry, Wale, the line isn't very clear, and we're actually straining here to get it. At the start of your contribution, it was a little clearer. Now it's really distorted. I'm afraid I'll have to ask you to try again and call back so that we can get to understand what you're saying. Right. But just try keep the calls coming, and we hope that the network will improve and we can get these views right here. But yes, Prof.
Can I say something
yes,
about
please go
dosage?
ahead.
About dosage.
Thank you very much.
Dosage, yes.
You know, when I was talking earlier, I was emphatic when I said this is 2017.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay. What I mean is this, that many of the things we think were not possible are now very possible. Dosage
Exactly.
is no longer a problem.
Oh.
Dosage is no longer a problem.
It's true.
In fact, that's the department I head at NIPRIT. And the Niprisan people are commending today. The Niprisan that is registered as a drug in the United States of America is a herbal product. No, there is no chemical, nobody can point at the chemical entity with its chemical structure. I'm a Western trained pharmacist, so we talk about structural elucidation, you know. But you can't talk about the structure of the chemical moiety responsible for the activity of Niprisan.
Exactly.
But I'm telling you that it is registered in US as a drug. We call it an orphan drug. And as I'm talking to you, the National Institute for Pharmaceutical Research and Development has 6 other products like that, like Niprisan, for different ailments.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me ask you to just hold on.
So
you need to clarify.
you see,
It's a lot of questions.
I needed to talk about this dosage because
Yes,
a
it's
lot of
very
people
important.
tend to confuse the.
Herbal medicine.
I understand, but it's the dosage. Yes, we'll talk about
him
it.
talk
We
about
have,
it.
Yes, definitely we'll come to you. But let's try and get in Kenneth,
Yes,
who's
it's
calling
the
in
same
from
criteria.
Enugu. Kenneth from Enugu, are you right there?
Yeah, in Enugu, MNA.
Yes, please go ahead quickly.
I think appreciate the program tonight. And in a reality, traditional medicine is actually working because I have one problem with my and my wife too. So I bought traditional medicine, this aloe vera. I took it within 3 days. All the pains
Disappeared.
disappeared. Before now, if I go to the toilet, my hand used to be so painful. So I'm a living room. So there's no say what our government should do is to improve and support it. Afford that medicinal care logo about 1,000 naira.
Right. Thank you very much.
So I appreciate the presenter.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Kenneth from Enugu. Yes, Prof, let's go back to the issue of the dosing as we went across.
Now, the dose of every herbal product can be determined.
Exactly.
The dose of every herbal product can be determined. And let me quickly tell you, you know the WHO recommended mode of treating malaria is called artemisinin combination therapy. In other words, you combine more than one, you put together 1, 2, or 3 different antimalarials. Okay? Herbal product, those of us who are scientists in natural product area, we call it natural combination therapy. Because instead of isolating the ingredients, do structural elucidation, which we are trained to do, and then go to the bench and combine them, science has been able to know that nature has already combined some of these products.
Right.
So all you need to do is to humble yourself and go and study it.
Exactly.
You see, we have a lot of problem with so many people who don't know. You know. Sorry, I always say that in Nigeria, everybody has degree in criticism.
Yes.
Everybody. We all know how to criticize everything. Put people, and we talk too much.
Yes, not to.
We won't sit down to work. Here in Abuja, we will not travel to any other country. Here in Abuja, we will do work on any herbal product, and we will determine the dose, and it will take care of our ailments. What we need is
just to add
simple hundreds of thousands of naira. Nobody is asking for 1 billion naira. We want only simple hundreds of thousands of naira to do this work. Here, simple.
Just to add,
and we will tell you if you want to take. You see, bitter leaf.
Yes.
Let me use an example now. Since they have mentioned bitter leaf,
yes.
You know I'm a scientist, so I have always tried to talk from that angle. But I want to speak the language that people also understand me very well, since I'm on national television. See, bitter leaf, when you carry the leaf and you cook bitter leaf soup, it's not the same as when you give bitter leaf to us in the lab and we do something to it and bring out medicine from it. They are two different things. When you carry bitter leaf, you put in this cup, you squeeze it and drink the juice. It's not the same as when we say we have made a medicine from bitter leaf. When we say this medicine is from bitter leaf, we will tell you the dose to take.
Exactly.
So there are two different issues.
And just to add one sentence, because this has been it's a problem that everybody uses to criticize herbal medicine, and we are the experts. What we are saying is that for the purpose of information and clarification, the dose of natural products or herbal medicine is not the same as the dose of synthetic drugs. It's very important. So everyone stands on his own. Just like he said, it depends on the formulation you are doing. And every formulation has a dosage.
All right, we'll return to that quickly, but we have a caller from Delta. And just go right ahead. Derek, if you're calling in, if you're with us, you're calling in from Delta, go ahead.
Hello.
Hello, Derek. Turn down the volume of your TV. I can hear the call back.
Hello?
Yes, go right ahead.
Yes, I'm so very, very happy about this program this evening because you see, one thing I really need to say about things like this, just like the way we're saying it, the government should really look for a way how to figure into herbal things of the thing, because herbal medicine of the thing, I do prefer it more than the English medicine, wallahi, I swear. Yes, yes, because I remember in those days when we were very, very small, 1980, then all the time, they used to cover our clothes in hot spots. It worked faster than the English medicine. Somebody should just come up, start speaking English, talking, they have went to school, so place, blah, 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 blah. And what he's saying is just English. We don't believe on those English. Let us work on the herbal medicine. Since they said we should use Nigeria product, let's go down to Nigeria product and forget about those English. English is for English. Let us value our own things. That is what I believe. So I believe herbal is very, very good.
All right. Thank you very much, Derek.
Taking a cue from what the other man, the first person that called, said about his file.
Yes.
I'm a community practitioner. I have a community practice. But when I get patients who come in with spine, I don't bother with the English drugs because they just manage the symptoms. But what you give them and get a cure is the herbal medicines. And I have a lot of patients who come back to thank me.
All right. Let's go just a step further. Professor Emeje has said this is 2017, yes, and you can actually determine the dosage. But again, we hear that there are so many plants, yes, that could be beneficial in the course to reducing our healthcare, costs. Yes. Now, how much of this has been affected by, well, today Zainab Sharif might be a modern, pharmacist, who is a pharmacist and who has a broader outlook. But perhaps, as Professor Emeje had said, some 30, 40 years ago, you probably would have someone who was, yes, knowledgeable about plants and medicinal plants in the village, but who would be hesitant to actually tell you how that drug can be used. And it's seen as a trade secret. Now, isn't that one of the issues you have about pushing forward the harvesting and harnessing of local plants?
No, let me respond to that. And I'm happy you are asking this question because it substantiates my stand that this is 2017. Because we have the experience at NIPRID. The truth is, the drug we actually call Niprisan for sickle cell came from a traditional medical practitioner. It came from a traditional medical practitioner. If it was a liquid concussion, and today it's in capsule.
Exactly.
Today it's in capsule. Okay. Now, and this is just to answer your question directly and to allay the fears. So, in this generation, the type of traditional medical practitioners that we have today are no longer the traditional medical practitioners that existed when I was not born, when they were not ready to talk.
Okay.
When NIPRID was set up, even before some of us joined NIPRID, NIPRID had already developed a relationship with traditional medical practitioners, periodic workshops. In fact, some traditional medical practitioners are called consultants to NIPRID. So and every year, the Institute undertakes what we call ethnobotanical survey and do interaction with traditional medical practitioners. And they tell you what their herbs do. They tell you the time. Some of them will tell you you have to go collect this plant 1 a.m.
Exactly.
at night. And let me tell you, it's not spirit. It's not spirit. I'm a pharmacist. And any pharmacist, all of them seated here, including my president, will tell you. In pharmacy school, in fact, the first 1 or 2 years in pharmacy school, you are taught that, look, there are certain metabolites or constituents of plants that are found only at certain period or certain time or certain season because of the nature of that metabolite. It is no mystery at all.
Yes. And again,
it is because people don't understand that they think it is mystery.
You see, these practitioners,
we know it.
And let me just add that, you see, when I was speaking earlier, I said that the Chinese say we did not ignore the barefoot doctors. They are the basis of our information. What am I saying? those originators, those God-given gifts that he gave to the real traditional medicine healers, if you have a good collaboration with them, which I know NAPRID has done, and then let me come from the Ministry of Angul, we're able to bring them into one association. They want to have confidence. They want to believe that if they give you your product, there's what we call intellectual property rights. At the end of the day, what am I going to benefit? Definitely, if there is that partnership and that friendship, I have done that. And Cyril, I know a lot of medicinal plants owing to the knowledge of the traditional medicine practitioners. So if we're able to recognize their role, and we the scientists, there's a gap between us and them. But if we can do better, bring them nearer, there is a lot of discoveries that we can get from them.
All right.
And then that will make us do further research.
Okay, let's go back to the phones now. We have Elijah calling in from Edo State. Hello, Elijah.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. I want to thank all the panelists who are speaking now the way there. But you see, there's something I want to contribute. And I am speaking in consonance with what the DG of PSN, former DG of PSN has said. In a global, we are talking that as Nigerians, we are moving towards global economy. We are trying to expatiate on our development as a nation. Then we must have a rethink. What he's saying is reality. We cannot continue to think like a cave scientist. If we all say we are scientists, we have to move in line with the present trends and see how we can develop it. What he said is true. You can't expect, okay, give the people to take the drugs, let it be bitter. How many of them will consume? We are talking of something that will be simple and flexible and easy to take. Yes. Something that will be able to diffuse into the system. That's what we are talking about. It's true we have all the drugs, but then research and development is critical to this. But then bringing it in the simplest possible form is key. And anything else you are saying, like developing medicinal plants and developing the other things and trying to use them, they are all waste of time. Let me tell you this, research and development is key for bringing these products that we claim are medicinal concoctions into full usage as drugs. Is what matters. And then flavoring and other things are also key towards making us, remember, in line with the objective for the present administration, is to make Nigeria a globally competitive tourist attraction for health. Then how can we build our revenue base if we all continue to think like a cake people? We have to change this trend. Thank you very much, Mr. Siri and all that.
All right, thank you so much, Elijah. And we'll hop back to our Lagos Center, where Olumide Akintayo is still very much with us. As former president of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, certainly during your tenure, the issue of harnessing local herbs and plants and medicinal plants would have been discussed extensively during your tenure. And given the fact that you do have so many pharmacists today who are, how do we put it now, they're trained, they're scientists, they're pharmacists on their own, but they also have this knowledge. How is the PSN, or how was the PSN, even during your tenure, been able to put this together to make a case for harnessing this potential?
Thank you very much, Cyril. I think before I get into the question, I think I need to make a very, very important clarification. Now, at no point in this discourse have I taken a position that medicinal plants are not effective or that they are not good. Of course, we all clamor for the use of natural medicines and all of that. We want it. I'm only saying that we need to do it properly. Look, it's easy to come on, and I'm not given to too much emotional paroxysms. I don't deceive people. Now, I've had things like, oh, it's not as complex as this, it's not as difficult. Nigeria, for God's sake, or for speaking loud, is a consumer nation consisting of some 170, 180 million people. Now, how many leaves are you going to shred? How many stems? How many roots? How much of roots? Like one of the panelists did say, most of our synthetic drugs actually took their origin from natural sources. The only reason why you talk about synthesis of products today is because it's cheaper to synthesize when they're in chemical form and all of that. So all we're saying is that, look, to make these attractive, we need to do a few things, and those things would involve more research and development. That's all I'm saying here. Now, coming to your question, one of the things we tried, and I am surprised because I picked the information tonight that all you need to achieve some of this thing is some hundreds of thousands. I do know that the little I know about research and development is that it's something that runs into tens and hundreds of millions of dollars, oftentimes. At our own level here, however, because we continue to interact with policymakers, and that's why I need to take the type of position I'm taking. I will call a spade a spade. I'm not under any bondage to begin. I won't stand on hypocritical platitudes. I won't do that. The truth is there is gross underfunding of the pharmaceutical sector like most other sectors of the economy. We have a responsibility to sensitize people in high places, from the National Assembly where the appropriations are made to the respective MDAs to the presidency. Let all of us guys know the truth. These endeavors are grossly underfunded, for God's sake, for speaking out loud. Let government increase funding to places like NIPRID. NIPRID is almost a dead institution. I did allude to the fact that there is an array of great talents, pharmaceutical scientists, pharmacists, but how much of those potentials are being harnessed in the right direction? You can't fund a research institute with monies lesser than 100 million naira in a whole year and expect to get value. There will be no benefit package. And I think we need to say these things. The company, pharmacist Zainab Sharif headed, is extinct. It's moribund today. Probably if it had been better funded, it would still be alive to achieve some of the ideals she's been talking about in the last few hours. So we need to help the system, because I want to see a pharmaceutical sector that can rub shoulders like what I see in the rest of the developing or developed world. I want to see that. So we have a responsibility to continue to identify these gray areas, to continue to make government see in apocalyptic declarations our various challenges, our problems in the sector. I have no problem, like I continue to say, with natural medicine, medicinal plants and all that. But everything, it's a changing world. Everything today is about packaging. It's about branding. Now, if you have the best products, if you have the most effective herbal medication, if it is not well packaged, I'm sorry to say it will not be acceptable to consumers of health. And I will continue to ask this question. Yes, a few people can manage to take bitter leaf extracts in its natural form. The only reason why people take some of those medicines, true, because we are, at the end of the day, we are still experimental scientists. The only reason you take those things into laboratories for formulation is probably to improve. Most of these drugs come very bitter in their natural sources. A lot of people can't outdo that bitterness. And I think this is the type of thing I'm talking about. We must do things. Are you going to give bitter leaf extract or dongoyaro extract the way it is in its natural form, even if you come up with a dose? Are you going to give it like that to a pediatric patient and you expect him to take it? Have we thought of the reality that there will be clinical situations whereby people won't even tolerate all of these things you're talking about orally? So I think it's a total package for me. I am looking at it as one who has interacted on behalf of the PSN and and its various interest groups with government. Specifically, one of the things we try to do, and I think Professor Meje should be able to bear us witness, because we've developed position papers together in the past, was that we try to promote collaborations between the pharmaceutical industries and NIPRID, for instance. Because I believe personally that NIPRID, a great range of things continue to happen at NIPRID. And so we've tried to foster this PPP arrangement so that some of the private pharmaceutical companies can work out, can work with NIPRID, develop some of these drug moieties that NIPRID has been able to, to work on, so that you can commercialize these things in brands that can be patented and accepted, even at a global level. I keep making references to niprosan. Niprosan, for instance, if we had the type of funding that it should have gotten, I continue to say that it would have brought a lot of relief and amelioration to many homes, to the homes of so many sickle cell disease patients.
Commercialization and then patenting, that's where we'll be going to next when we return after this break. So stay with us. We'll be back in a short while. We'll bring out some more concerns about the populace, and as usual, we'll take our cameras out and speak to the citizens on what they think. Stay with us on Tuesday Live. We'll be back shortly.
Nigerians, our fearless officers and men of the Nigerian military are winning the war against Boko Haram. Today, all occupied territories have been recovered and Boko Haram has been degraded. Our affected brothers and sisters are getting their lives back. However, they are now after you and me. In our mosques, churches, schools, motor parks, markets, entertainment centers, and public gatherings. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me. Nigeria, unite against terrorism.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
The struggle for independence had been a long and tough one. Our founding fathers and compatriots sacrificed their comfort and even shed their blood. We cannot at this point in history afford to spirit away their sacrifices for immediate but temporary gains of today. Let us emphasize what unites and not what divides us. Working for the unity of purpose with a stronger vision for a better tomorrow. NTA, growing with the nation.
Nigeria, the only country we can train with remarkable potentials to excel. Let us believe in ourselves and change our attitude for the sake of our country and generations unborn. Let us revive our cultural values, which are our essence as a nation. Let us renew the spirit of patriotism and hope in our dear country. Do not take or give bribe. Be punctual always. No more African time. We can't expect to be global citizens and operate on African time. Join the queue. Insist that people are attended to on a first-come basis, no matter who they are or where they come from.
Nigeria, good people, great nation.
Make you report any crooked person, object or wakajube movement to police and security agent demo.
The security of our nation now work for all of us, plus including me and you.
Nigeria, make we unite against terrorism. Now, Federal Ministry of Information and Culture bring on this message.
NTA Tuesday Live, a network issue-oriented innovation talk show.
Thanks for staying with us. At this point, we'll go out and talk to the citizens themselves to air their views on what they think about what we're discussing tonight. So let's go out and see what Nigerians think.
Like me, I dey take am with my children. We dey take am in the work. The moringa, they work well for body. I know they go to hospital.
For how many years now?
20 years. But now, no, don't tell why I go hospital last.
It cleans the body systems. And also garlic is also good for your health. And garlic, I learned that garlic also cure poison. If you take anything like poison, maybe some food you took that is not well prepared, when you chew garlic or bitter cola, it helps a lot.
I don't subscribe to it because, one, you do not know the dosage. For example, agbo. These are a lot of herbs brought and sometimes mixed with local gin, and it could bring about a negative effect on your health. But in this 21st century, whereby drugs have been modernized, we have pharmacists who have been able to harness these drugs and come out with dosages where we can take. I think it's still mundane and archaic for us to enter the bush, get herbs, get drugs, and take it without prescription.
By the before you know it, it might cause some kind of damage to your liver or kidney. But if you advise me, some people take and it works for them. Some people will take it and it will work perfectly for them. But like they will always tell you to avoid it, because some of these medicinal this causes liver problem and the rest.
I'll go with the orthodox because at least you can verify to an extent concerning the orthodox drug you are taking. Unlike the local herbs, you can't really make for certain that this is good enough or it will work for you or it will not affect you in another way, because people's system, body system work kind of differently. Some people have reactions to different things, so that's the reason.
Well, we've listened to the views of the citizens there. Perhaps we should just tie this in with that. And this one is from Emmanuel Obezele. It's from Enugu. And he's saying he needs clarification on fears of Nigerians who say that a high rate of kidney and liver damage should be put at the doorstep of local herbs. Again, on the other hand, he says, in Yoruba land, for instance, agbo, what's called agbo, it's a herbal mixture, has been quite popular, and lots of people have been drinking this for years and years, and they have not complained about kidney or liver problems. So what he's saying here needs clarification. On one side, they say these herbs can cause liver and kidney damage. On the other hand, they're saying they're very good. But if we return to the main thing we're saying here, it's not about the efficacy of local preparations. It is more about harnessing medicinal plants that can be used and augment the huge expenditure that goes into importation of all kinds of remedies and stuff from mostly Asian countries, and how to reduce the cost of Medicare and health in Nigeria.
Thank you, my brother. I would like to first address what that my friend raised on herbal products being responsible for some of these organ diseases. It is true, but it's not restricted to herbal products.
Yes.
It is true because there are some herbal products that can cause organ damage. Just like there are some orthodox drugs that can cause organ damage. The difference is, and this has to be, I want to make this very clear as a pharmacist in research, makes it very clear that, you see, if you take the natural products, these herbal products, by the time we are giving you a capsule of a natural product, of a herbal product, all the studies that needs to be conducted, which is the study that is also conducted on the conventional, the orthodox drugs, have already been concluded. So also including what type of organ will this damage? What will be the effect of this herbal product on the different organs in the body? What will be the side effects of these herbal products? Just as we are looking at the efficacy of the herbal product, we look at the side effects of the products. Just like when we take a chemical entity and give it to the animals to see how the animals behave, that's how we give the herbal products to the animals to see how they behave. When we get to the level of giving this synthetic drug to human beings, that's how we also get, which we call clinical trials. That's how we also give herbal products to human beings, which we call clinical trials. You see what my president is saying in Lagos. He knows very well that we all know that. That's how we were trained in the university. This one is not training in the university. You have to come and begin to study this, to apply what you have studied in the university in order to help your own country. That is where, and that's where I agree with him on this research and development. Yeah. So when we talk about, you see, when he talked about hundreds of thousands of naira that I mentioned, don't confuse it with trying to produce a synthetic tablet, for example. You need at least 10 to 12 years to get a new drug. You need at least $1 billion to do that. Who is going to give it to us? So why should I bother myself with that? But I don't need such money to go to the backyard in Nigeria and get those leaves. And when we are talking of how many leaves will we cut, we have passed that level. We are in the level where good agricultural practice can go into cultivation. Look, I was in China for 2 years. And all these products China is sending to us today, go to all these pharmacies you are seeing here. Go to their pharmacies. You will see Chinese products in their pharmacies. So before is it not those leaves and stem that China is producing those capsules and they are sending and we are importing here. Okay. So why are we not doing our own?
Let's go back to the phones now.
We want to be importing because it's cheap and quicker.
And we have from Ibadan, Mayowa, who's calling in. Mayowa, who's calling in from Ibadan. Is Mayowa still with us?
Good evening.
Yes, good evening.
And I'm so interested in what you are discussing today. I have to put on again to make sure that I watch it. My view is that there should be a synergy between the PCN and the traditional farm practitioners. So if the village can adjust the method of using other medicine, so why should we do it out? But that's the thing. We need to form a synergy. We need to drop some heroes and work with those that are working with these apps to make sure that people comes out of it. Make sure that our people, wherever they are, get quality help and make sure that these things are built. So we need to make sure that,
Oh dear. I think we're beginning to lose that call because it's no longer audible. Oh dear. Hello, Mayo. If you're still there, we'd just like to, if you can hear me, we'd like to encourage you to call again. At the tail end there, you are no longer audible. So we hope that you can still call back and let us know what you think.
Please, can I chip in on the issue of organ damage?
Yes. Very important.
You see, there are practices that we do now that didn't used to happen before. The way we process our foods now, there's a lot of shortcutting. Take the issue of Gari now. Before, when they are processing Gari, they allow it to ferment for at least 2-3 days, some even longer. But these days, you find people going to harvest a cassava in the morning, and by evening, it's Gari. So the cyanide contents there, what is it doing to the body? There are so many other things, so many other practices that people do these days that didn't used to happen before. So when you talk about people taking herbs and getting organ damage, what are the other things that they are also doing that may be causing it? What about the radiation from the electronics that we use and other things that may account for those organ damages? So we have to put all these things into consideration before we can lay the blame on the altar of herbal medicine.
Okay.
Just to add, because it's very important, like Emeji said, that whatever you take, everything is poisonous. It depends on how you take it and the dose you take it. Even water, when you take excess of water, it's a problem. So what are we talking about? If we talk that herbal medicine, there are some herbs, yes, that produces organ damage. That depends on the type, that depends on the formulation, and that depends on the duration of usage. What we have come to realize that there are so many medicinal plants, and in that you go from the safest, which are food, you go gradually in that order. You'll be able to reduce less of toxicity. And of course, every synthetic drug, no matter, the simplest one, paracetamol, is poisonous. And you know that it can cause damage to the organs. So what we have said is like, we have gone beyond that. What we need to understand the power of the formulation. How have you made this herb into a product that you know? And we all agree that natural products are safer because of their composition and the constants.
Okay. Right. So now let's go the step further and say, yes, we have all these challenges. Would it be that, or could it be that this is the main thing standing between Nigeria and going that step further to harness these drugs and then begin to use it, since it might be extremely difficult to access the huge resources required to produce those synthetic drugs, or to discover those drugs.
Yes.
So what are those steps that Nigerians can begin to take from this side? Let's start with our Lagos Center and the former president of the PSN.
Thank you, Cyril. I think I want to take it to something a little more practical here. It is often mounted in our sector that 65% of clinical visitations are malaria-based. In other words, about 6.5 out of every 10 patients who will seek health care on a daily basis are likely to be suffering from malaria. So if you're looking at it in terms of public health challenges, probably one area you want to look at is how we treat malaria. I think, and that's why it appears I continue to place a premium on a few things we need to get right at our research institutes, and then with this synergy between our pharmaceutical companies and organizations like NIPRID. I mean, yes, Professor Emeji says, for instance, it's no problem getting dosages right. Good. It means we're making progress. Now we are putting these things into dosage forms, capsules, tablets. That's also a very good step in the right direction. Now, we must therefore, if government funds NIPRID better, and we're making progress along these lines, we now, the type of collaboration that I'm looking at is one that if a company, for instance, a company XYZ Pharmaceuticals, wants to partner NIPRID to commercialize these great strides in anti-malaria, for instance, that NIPRID has been able to generate a momentum for, then we should begin to look at how government, for instance, can support some of these companies. And how does government support them? You know that there are basic problems of infrastructures, probably cuts across all sectors. Things are certainly not at the are not too rosy for manufacturers in Nigeria. A man who relies on a diesel-powered facility is not going to achieve competitiveness in terms of what the final cost of his end product would always be. So can we begin to canvass things, therefore, like tax holidays for pharmaceutical manufacturers so that we can begin to generate a great momentum to get people to begin to embrace this. Can we begin to get regulators? We often say that our sector is one of the most regulated in this economy. Apart from huge monies you have to pay to regulators to either register your premises, to register your products, can we begin to look at how we can give these manufacturers or people who want to embrace these concepts some tax relief, some discounts, things that can bring their costs down gradually. If we get it right, for instance, with anti-malarials, with like the statistics I'm reeling out suggest, is a huge market for Nigeria. 65% of 180 billion means that probably over 100 million Nigerians seek treatment for malaria every day. Even if you're looking at only our market, then you know that it's a lot of resources we're bringing in. I am looking forward to a situation whereby we can perfect this model, this type of model, and then we begin to say, oh, we will no longer allow importation of anti-malarials into our country. What we will be doing in that instance is that the pharmaceutical industry will begin to grow very significantly. We can have more employments in the pharmaceutical sector. We can begin to boast that we're generating more GDP for the national economy. We can very soon, therefore, we can begin to become a destination for anti-malarials, and these will dovetail into some other anti-malarials. But I need to go back to where I started from. The only way we would...
For us to go to Kaduna, let's go back to the phones and go to Kaduna and listen to Yusuf, if he's still on the line with us. And then after that, we'll return to our Lagos Center. Hello, Yusuf, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. Hello. Oh, good evening, my colleague.
Hello.
Hello, how are you, please?
Yes, please go ahead.
This is very interesting topic, in which whereby when it comes to vision, that there are sometimes you can find out that some people take it as just something that is local. Who are thinking about something that is traditional? They just take it something like it's local. But you're also right. Sometimes this new modern medicine, they don't cure the disease. Sometimes it's to break diseases. Take example, cancer. So if you want to cure the cancer, sometimes if you find a flooding in the bush, it use a herb. Definitely, instantly, it's able to put that particular disease. But it also can, sometimes our people don't do it as people.
Okay, I think we'll have to go off from that call from Yusuf in Kaduna. At some point in time, it was no longer audible, so we'll have to go off. Yes, initially he talked about the preference for locally manufactured drugs, but let's keep within what the former PSN president was saying about tax regimes, for instance. Now we have local drug manufacturers who say that one of the challenges they face is that, you know, they are highly taxed for importing raw materials, while for those who import finished products, they enjoy zero tariffs. How can this be reversed?
Yes. That is why I have been proposing roadmap for development of the pharmaceutical sector in Nigeria. We need to sit down and develop a roadmap for pharmaceutical development in Nigeria. If not, we will all be throwing tantrums like this, and everybody will just be speaking from different angles, until as a country we deliberately sit down, convene a stakeholder meeting, summit, to come up with how we want and for how long, you know, immediate, short term, long term. You know, you see, we can't continue this way. You see, all this one that we are talking, you see, my president has just hit the nail on the head now. They will tell you, the pharmaceutical industries will tell you that it is cheaper. And in fact, NIPRID, at a time, we had to go to Lagos to go and meet pharmaceutical industries. And one of the indigenous companies brought out his preparation on ampicillin cloxacillin, which we call Ampiclox. And he told us that, look, if he produces this thing in Nigeria, that the price that the patient will buy it will be about 450 naira a bottle. But that the one that's coming from India or China is 100 naira. And he told us all the things that are involved, including diesel, water, and his cost of labor, including, listen to me very well, raw materials that are not active pharmaceutical ingredients. Look, my brothers, I'm talking to you now. Nigeria is the largest producer of cassava in the world. Only Brazil can compete with us. Do you understand? Yet, starch is imported to this country for production of drugs. So somebody wants to tell me that all the then look, then let them, all of us that are pharmacists in Nigeria, let them throw us away from Nigeria. Okay. If after we have all gone through school of pharmacy, we cannot produce pharmaceutical grade starch to be used by our country, let all of us be sent away from this country. Okay. So is there no something wrong with us?
There is. Let me help him. Okay. Because it's not all bad at all. In the sense that...
All right, just a moment before you go. We have a caller from Uyo who's calling in. Yes. Go right ahead if you're with us.
Okay, good evening.
Yes.
Or is it morning? Good evening.
Well.
Yeah, my name is Nina. I'm calling from Uyo.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to really appreciate this panel today because this is a very key issue that is affecting our country. And I think both the team in Lagos, both Mr. Lumide in Lagos and the panel in Abuja are on the same page. So what we need now is to encourage funding for research and development. This is dying in Nigeria. And I think when you look at the Nigerian budget, it's about spending for things that are not going to give us what we want. I'm speaking from the part of young people, speaking for the present and for the future. Our budget does not give us what would prepare us for the next life. So we need to start advocacy. No, I love this team. I want this team to develop a framework that would start in 2018 budget. Let's develop a framework that will be inclusive, include young people in advocacy. We're ready to advocate for you to increase funding for research and development in this country. And finally, I want to say that Mr. Cyril should be the best candidate for a Minister for Information. I've been listening to this program a lot of times, and I've been in your work. So this is apart. Let's forget about politics.
Oh, thank you.
in our country now. So I will advocate for you as a Minister for Information.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wonderful sentiments by that caller there. Unfortunately, I'd rather stick to broadcasting and not a politician. Yes.
I wanted to add to what he has said about the idea of saying, like my former president said, I want to say it's not all bad at all. Let us come from the government angle. You find that at least, let's put the issue of research aside, which needs to be strongly supported. But what have we been doing so far? You must recognize that there's an attempt by the Federal Ministry of Trade to look into the challenges of the local manufacturers. How? One, there has been a list called Prohibition List, which has about 18 drugs, which our own local manufacturers have the capacity to produce. So they should be encouraged to produce those drugs.
Yes, they have the capacity to produce.
They have the capacity.
At what cost?
At a cost that at least in terms of generic names, generics, they can be able to manage. But they could do better. And then there's an attempt to reverse that situation of whereby the importation of raw materials should almost be exempted as compared to finished products, like we have said. For us to encourage the pharmaceutical local manufacturers, we are looking at, you must look at the importation of those raw materials and make them cheap. While we are saying this, we must still come to back domesticating our own research. What do? We are advocating, we are getting solutions. Why don't we have a deal, like he has said, let us try to get some few group of researchers, or let's say we have some few patriotic Nigerians, throw the ball. Why don't you be able to come up with indigenous preparation or medicinal products, herbal products for the management of malaria? Throw that into a committee supported by NIPRID to look into it, to see that is what other people do, Chinese do. They get their own experts with their own opinion and get the committee, sit down, this is what we are facing. And especially with the current administration that says, look Nigeria, buy Nigeria, and be able to harness Nigeria. So that is a window of opportunity. But the packaging is what we should look at. You must provoke some scientists like Emeji. Provoke those of us that are interested. What do? We have formulation. Some of us are gifted with that formulation. What can I give you to combine to give an anti-malaria? Research is done. We know the kind of research we are going to do, applied research, to come up with products that can begin to be effective for our people to start that. Local solutions for local problems. Then we begin to drive into internationally. That is what the Chinese have done. That is what they started with their own people. They did not jump internationally. So you must be able to start with your own people. Use the scientists you have. Use the pharmacists you have. What is the use of going to read pharmacy if we cannot be proud to produce at least a drug that we know that our people have challenges? Malaria should be one of it. We must look and get the local solution to the cause of our malaria. Our practitioners have given us formulas. Let's work on those formulas and come up with products for the benefit of our people.
Okay, yes, let's hear you this time around. You belong to the Association of Lady Pharmacists, and you've been promoting the processing of medicinal plants. Now, what is the next level that you can take this to and apply in the direction of it to impact on our healthcare delivery system? That's bringing down the cost of healthcare, especially in terms of importing drugs that can be made here.
Thank you very much. Yeah, across the states, we have programs where we sensitize people about common things that they can use for common ailments. Things like malaria, things like this pile, things like detoxification. Because in herbal medicine, it is believed that the cause of disease is either that something strange has entered the body or something that should be there is lacking. So we teach people how to use simple herbs, vegetables, fruits to either detoxify themselves or put in multivitamins and antioxidants and things that can help them to improve their health. We do that all across the lady pharmacists do that. We do that with school children. We do that with market women. We do that with even drivers and all that. Mechanics. We just choose our target audiences that go and impact our knowledge of what they can use simply to take care of their health.
Let me come to you, Prof. Femeje.
Yes.
It's been said that, well, the larger group of society who would ascribe to this, bringing down the cost of healthcare through medicinal plants, would be those most probably at the lower rungs of the ladder.
Yes.
And most of the people you find who are elites, they scoff at this and they'd rather not. And of course, well, we have looked at some of those issues, the packaging, the dosage, flavors and all that, and you're not likely to see the elites who, you know, go out and take a glass of dogoyaro or some other thing like that. And again, others also still remain skeptics because of the sources and the background of all this. How can you begin to change attitudes?
Through research and development. I won't talk about going to take those that are experts in that area of how to drink any juice. We'll talk about it. Mine is in the area of research and development. Converting those things, applying science and technology to that which they are talking about. I mean, you see, what they are talking about is similar to the Ayurvedic medicine in India and the traditional Chinese medicine before it got to this level. Even now that India and China are exporting their developed products, they still have those preparations that they use locally. You know, that is a different ball game. Now, you see, when you talk about packaging, I mean, that's my area. It is the ambulatory people, it is those that can walk to the pharmacy that talk about packaging. It's not those on admission that will talk about packaging. Anybody who is truly sick does not see packaging. Do you understand? So that is purely market issue. Okay? But we are, you see, we are in Nigeria, we are not at market. We are not at market yet. We are not at market yet. People, let me tell you, that's why I started by telling you where I come from. And that's why I told you that nothing is available in my village, even though my people are not protesting. There's nothing there. Yet, so those people, they want to hear that their son is part of the group in the country that have come up with a medicine that they can now use for malaria, they can now use for hypertension, they can now use for diabetes. Like my president said there, we have the market. Even if you are talking of market, we have the market. So the issue of there is tariff, therefore it is costly and all of that. It is costly only to the poor. You look, Siri, you can buy your drug. You, this man, that you are, because you are a big man in NTA, you can buy your drug, but your people in the village cannot buy those drugs. So it is the people in the village that we are actually cheating.
I belong to the people.
You know, on a more serious note, I mean, my president can buy his drug, Aja can buy her drug. Do you understand? Yes. But the people who are in the village who cannot buy those drugs, we owe them the responsibility of applying science and technology, no matter how we look at it. In those days, when your phone ring, people will say, hey, it's a Chinese phone. Because it will ring very loud. Today, how is it? Those phones, you can see they are becoming sophisticated. From China, go to US, go to UK. Most of those products, they are made in China. But people will tell you it's UK and American specification, but they are made in China. So today, as we are talking, people even in Nigeria are beginning to hear of acupuncture and moxibustion, which nobody heard of before. It was localized to China. If you go to China now, Europeans and Americans are in China studying moxibustion and acupuncture. Let us even take pride in our own country now. And I'm talking even to myself and my colleagues in pharmacy. Let us decide that, look, even though it will be costlier to produce a bottle of an anti-malaria through our own local R&D, let us do it. Let government say, look, it is the Nigeria anti-malaria, and it's happening in Mali as I'm talking to you now. It's happening in Mali. Let us now decide that this anti-malaria produced in Nigeria is what will be used in Nigeria. Do you understand? Then we start like that. Then the issue of us professionals now saying that no, because we are allowing market to take the uppermost place in our decision making, and profit, how much am I going to get, what will be my bank account, what am I going to keep for my children, and all of that. We need to decide that as a matter of national pride, we need our own things. Let us do our own thing, and we can do it. We have been trained to do it. We have minimal infrastructure to do it. We need minimal funding to do it. That funding is not there. Let it come so that we can do it. Then, but let us sit down. Let us sit down, because if we don't sit down, we'll start throwing stones on ourselves. We need to treat her and agree.
Let me just add to what he has said. You see, like he said, we need to start. But you see, we are not going to reinvent the wheel. The Chinese have done it. There are some plants that are indigenous to China that are also indigenous to us. They have done a lot of research. And also locally, we've done a lot of research. We need to apply those researches.
Okay.
It will help us to start well.
All right, as we conclude this program, let's go back to Lagos Center and take the final comments of Olumide Akintayo on this matter.
Thank you very much, Cyril. It will be a big disservice if I am part of this type of program and I am unable to elucidate some suggestions or way forward. I want to take maximal advantage of my being a player in the private sector. And that's why it appears sometimes the viewpoints or strategies appear to be little, we defy little. Let me say that the days of asking for special intervention funds are probably over in Nigeria, probably because of the recession in the economy and all that. But I do know that at global level, there are a lot of NGOs that have supported so many health initiatives in Nigeria. You think of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Clinton Initiative, there are so many of them. Now, people have advocated homegrown initiatives and all of that, and I'm just thinking, can we begin to advocate for a special pharmaceutical manufacturing fund in the light of our discussions this evening? And then we have an admixture of players on both sides, private and public sector players, including the very hierarchy at the Federal Ministry of Health, so that we begin to look at a pool whereby the likes of a Dangote Foundation, Danjuma Foundation, Tony Elumelu Foundation, and all of these seemingly big people can begin to come up with funds that we can begin to pool funds. And then when the likes of Professor Martins Emeji are done with identification, with dosage regimens and nitrate, willing pharmaceutical companies can access these pharmaceutical funds and begin to produce these made in Nigeria anti-malaria products that will be used, that will be domiciled in the first instance for consumers of health in Nigeria. And at
that point, we'll say thank you very much to you, Olumide Akintayo, who joined us from Lagos Network Center, as the former president of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria. We thank you for being part of this conversation on Tuesday Live. Thank you very much for your time. All right. And back here in our Abuja studios, I'd like to say a big thank you to Professor Martin Semeje, Head Pharmaceutical Technology and Raw Materials Development at NIPRI, that's the National Institute for Pharmaceutical Research and Development. Thank you so much. We hope to ask you to come again and talk about these issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me, and I will be glad to come again. I thought I was going to have an opportunity again because I have 7 strategies, and the number 7th is what my president said. You know, and I'm glad he said that actually.
We'll do that again. And also, let's say thank you very much to Elizabeth Odili, Technical Advisor, Pharmacist in Cultivation and Processing of Medicinal Plants for the Association of Lady Pharmacists. Well, thank you.
Honored.
Thank you. And for Zainab Sharif, it's always a delight to have you join us here. Like you said, you're home here, and thank you for being here again.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. And also thank you to you too for being part of this program. Next week we'll reach you again on NTA Tuesday Live. I'm Cyril Stober. Bye for now.
Biotechnology are already reaping huge dividends.
The farmers have been interested.
Biotechnology in Focus, coming soon on NTA.
Is where dreams are made.
You know, another thing that bothers me with makeup is the cost. You know?
The host for the night.
Art, photography, fashion, and editorial at the same time.
In the School of Entrepreneurship, there is no shame.
There's no substitute for books in the lives of children.
I love the law because it's a very, you read a lot, and I like to read.
And what has food got to do with it? Our nutritionist will be telling us more.
The values of 3 angles at a point are 3P.
Which comes with high fever.
The analysis.
It was finally the skill decided to go out to speak to quite a number of lawyers.
You are very right. hours of sport information, education, and entertainment. What did they say?
Just so hard. I'm stranded. And I want to go fly.
You're asking me to come back now for 1,500 naira. Not so.
He has been indulging in such pastime only to discredit me.
I want to know why you lied to me. You know that made I cancel our engagement.
What is it?
Sir, has eroded your sense of discernment.
You are a brick ring, a brown man, a prodigal.
Professor, your friend, over and out.
Information is power. Everyone wants power. So feel powerful with the NTA News mobile app, the one-stop information center. Real news at your fingertip. Be the first to report by uploading first-hand information on the U-Report link, and be the first to know by simply clicking on any of the links on the sidebar for headlines, domestic and foreign news, economy, security, politics, sports, and more. Stream live on your smartphone and tablets and stay connected. It's pretty easy. Simply download NTA News app from your Google Play Store and you're good to go. NTA News mobile app, your access to real-time information. Information is power. Everyone wants power. So feel powerful with the NTA News mobile app, the one-stop information center. Real news at your fingertip. Be the first to report by uploading first-hand information on the U-Report link, and be the first to know by simply clicking on any of the links on the sidebar for headlines, domestic and foreign news, economy, security, politics, sports, and more. Stream live on your smartphone and tablets and stay connected. It's pretty easy. Simply download NTA News app from your Google Play Store and you're good to go. NTA News mobile app, your access to real-time information.
This is the network service of the NTA.